Welcome to Roots and Resilience. We have been moved by listening to the stories of wonderful people we have crossed paths with.
We have been inspired by their resilience throughout their personal and professional journeys and feel there are powerful lessons we can all learn from this.
I'm Tejal, and alongside my sister and co-host Nehal, we hope you enjoy listening to this episode.
Welcome, Ushaben, to Roots and Resilience. We are so delighted to have you here. For our listeners, I just wanted to introduce and tell you a little bit about Ushaben. So she is a retired physical therapist, and in the UK, that is known as a physiotherapist. She has two wonderful daughters and also is a grandmother to two. Uh, she is living in Chicago and for the last 22 years has been voluntarily teaching 5 to 7 year olds within the community about Jainism, the religion of Jainism. In her spare time, she plays pickleball and she paints. She's very active within the community, often taking part in performances and acting and playing and dancing, and has a wonderful zest for life. And I cannot wait to hear about her journey. So welcome, Ushaben.
Nice. It is really a pleasure. It's really pleasure for me to be here, and I'm delighted to speak about my journey. I'm
Wonderful.
72-year-old, so I have lots of things to tell everybody.
Excellent. Let's get stuck in. Let's start right at the beginning, Ushaben. Right at the beginning, tell us a bit about where you were born and your childhood.
So I was born in a town called Nakuru, which is in Kenya. Kenya is a part of East African country, and my parents had migrated there from India. So um, I was born there, but at age of 5, my dad, who was a teacher, was called by Ugandan government to teach in Uganda. So we had to move. So I ended up in a small town called Kakira, which was at that time owned by one of the Indian big businessmen, Madhwanis. They are called Madhwanis, Muljibai Madhwani, who started an empire there of his own. So the whole town called Kakira was owned by him. And it was all Indians. We used to live together, work together, go to school together. But it was isolated, kind of more for Indian community.
And do you remember that journey from Kenya to Uganda when you were 5? Do you have any memories of Kenya?
Uh, really, to be honest with you, I don't have much memory. Only thing I remember, my dad had a friend who lived on a big hill and had a gas station. And we used to go there and have candies at his store. But no, I don't remember much. But I have pictures of my childhood. That's why I remember them.
Well, that's nice you've got that memory captured, and I think it was probably not common for people to have lots of pictures like around
Right.
that time.
And they
Um,
were all black and white.
yeah, how amazing that they've still been preserved through you're in Chicago now, so I'm sure they've traveled with you along the way, so that's amazing. So when you were growing up in Kenya, tell us about that. So
About,
In Uganda.
yes, yes. So I did my schooling in Kakira, and all the schools were only made for Indian kids. So, and all the teachers were Indians, all the students were Indians. The food given to us was all Indian. So, now I think back, it is kind of weird, right? Not to mingle with the local people, but this guy who owned the whole town had made schools only for Indian kids. The other kids local people. They went to school or they were not fortunate to go to school, but we were never allowed to go to any other school except the schools. We used to go walk to the school. We had uniforms. We used to wear like a skirt and a blouse and a tie and big socks and shoes. So it was a uniform in all the schools. But now I think back, my husband is born and raised in India, and he was telling us that they used to have prayers before the school starts. And we used to have the same thing, and all the prayers were in our language, Gujarati. So, like how we lived in a foreign country, but stayed like Indians, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if it was you know, the older generation who were there, who were trying to really hard to maybe preserve the values and the culture in a foreign land, and so try to instill that within the younger Indian generation who are being raised in Africa. I suppose maybe try to maintain all the sort of customs and structures, and especially like you're saying, having the prayers included as part of that.
And we studied everything in English. And
Okay.
our second language was Swahili, which was a local language. And my mother tongue is Gujarati, but we never studied Gujarati in school.
How interesting. So you were stronger. Well, you must have been speaking Gujarati at home.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And
And
then learning
my
these.
father he loved languages. He knew about 16 languages.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, and he was very keen that we, especially us, my brothers and sisters, know Gujarati. So he used to teach us at home how to read and write because
Wow.
he himself was a teacher. And he
Okay.
insisted that we all learn different languages, you know.
That's actually really interesting. So you went to a school for Indians, or an Indian school, but you were taught in English, and as part of the languages, the Indian language wasn't taught in terms of reading and writing in the school.
Yeah, no, no.
Interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
And do you have any other memories that you can share about what it was like living in Uganda?
So um, there were two memories. There were a couple, but two. One is the ugly one. It is sometimes I get ashamed of talking about it, but that's what happened to us.
Yes.
We used to live in a town, small town, so we never got clean water or filter water. So we drank whatever lake water we was getting. We at that time, I don't think my parents were so educated in heating up or boiling up the water and using it, but because everybody drank the same water, so we used to drink the same water. But because of that, what happened is we used to get little bumps or little pimples, like boils. I would say boils in our legs and underarms, and in a lymphatic drainage area.
Hmm.
Uh, and our houseboy, and he used to puncture it, and a bug used to live bug used to come out.
Ooh.
And my husband is a doctor, and I was telling him all these things. I said, "Oh my God, we never thought it so bad." But he said that's because of the water we drank, and
Mm.
that was. If I tell something like this to my grandkids now, they would say, "Ooh, how can you?"
Yeah, that is really interesting. Did you feel unwell when you had this? Were you like
Not
fever, like feel like
nothing
you have an
happening.
infection or
No,
no?
no symptoms, nothing. It's just you will see like a boil,
Yes.
Hmm.
and you would say why it is this? And naturally it is like it is fluid. It's a moving boil, so you puncture it and a bug comes out.
Oh
And
wow.
did your village have a healthcare system or local doctor that people could visit to
Yeah,
if they
we
had any
used to
problems?
have like immediate care, what you call now here, walk-in clinics. We used to have there where we used to get um, vaccines, whatever was available there. But if I describe you, it was it was really not a hygienically clean um, clinics. The people came like in big groups, and um, it was not private. Everybody was seen, in front of other people. It was a very small town, and we didn't have good facilities. To be honest with you, now I think back, we didn't even have a hospital in our town.
Mm.
And I was thinking, wow, what if something had happened?
Wow. That's that can be quite, a scary thought when we take things like having a hospital like very accessible down the road, or calling an ambulance, things like that. If there's an emergency, we take all of these things for
No
granted.
ambulances, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
if something major were to happen, then you'd be really stuck, I'd imagine.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anyone at home, like your brothers and sisters, had anything mild go on, like a cough or anything like that, would you rely on home medicines, kind of herbal potions and things like that?
Yeah. So, like you are talking about, my mother used to, like if she get cold or cough, she used to put brandy.
I have heard this. I have heard this
I
actually.
don't think you're the only family that's done
Yeah.
that.
And now I think back, yeah, as you say, home remedies. My dad used to suffer from asthma.
Okay.
So now I think back, my God, he was suffering, so because I'd seen him suffering, he could not breathe. And
Mm.
there was like he never had inhalers, nothing. Now I think back, how did he survive all these things? And no concept of good medicine or anything. We never had regular checkups. So, like, now all babies have good, well, checkups every month, and all the vaccines are given in timely manner, and all these things, and babies look so healthy. All everybody looked healthy there, but who knows what happened to other people? I don't know
Mm.
if
Mm.
somebody died or somebody didn't get good medicine or anything, because I was also young at that time.
Yeah. But it's amazing, as in people still thrived. Do you know what I mean? Like even in without having the type of healthcare we have now, people clearly survived, clearly were able to function. And I suppose there were difficulties that they somehow overcame without having modern medicine.
Yeah, modern medicine. Plus, like now you talk to anybody, even me.
Yes.
Uh, I take so many medicines every day. This vitamin, that vitamin, and multivitamin, vitamin B12, D3, and all the other cholesterol medicine. And on those days, no, my parents never took a medicine.
Yeah, do you know
Never.
what? I was taking my vitamins this morning, and now they're saying with vitamin D, you need to have K2 with it because it helps. Um, it's meant to be helpful or more effective. And then every time I'm taking, I'm just thinking, my grandfather is like he's passed away now, but he was in his 90s. He took medication, like he was living in the UK and everything. But when he was my age, he probably didn't he didn't give any of this any consideration. Do you see what I like? Absolutely no consideration, but was
Well,
still healthy.
why do you think that generation was so strong that they didn't need any of this?
I think my thinking process now tells me that we ate home cooked food, which was fresh. We had, the other thing I tell you, we never had a refrigerator. Yeah, we never had. I don't know if you guys have heard about uh, panjru. Panjru. What is panjru? It
Is
is
that
like
a
it's like a cupboard with
Uh-huh.
a wire gauze uh, doors,
Uh-huh.
so air can go in and out.
Okay, yep, fine.
And we used to keep fruits and everything in it, but I have not seen a refrigerator till I was 20 years old.
Wow.
So it, as you say, the food, every day we used to go to market,
Hmm.
pick up fresh vegetables, and every day we ate fresh vegetables, and nothing was left over. We never ate any leftovers.
That's amazing.
No
And it was
frozen
all,
food, no
yeah,
frozen food,
yeah.
no leftovers. Every day home cooked food. So I think that's the key.
Would you still have 3 meals a day for
Yeah,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You'd cook
yes.
separate.
We used to have 3 meals a day, and lunchtime was at school because we used to go to school. But my parents had, like we used to, if you have been to India, we ate a big lunch. My parents used to eat big lunch and a small dinner.
Mm.
So dinner was like a one item thing, like ando or something, you know. But lunch was every day like dal bhat chak rotli, you know, if you understand that.
Yes,
Yes. So
yes.
that's
So one was protein, one was vegetables and roti
yes,
and some salad, you know,
yes.
kachumber salad. So that was a routine meal. And breakfast, my mom, my mom used to bake cookies at home. So we used to
Ooh.
always have milk and cookies for breakfast.
That's so interesting. Now we grew up like having milk and cookies like before bed.
Before
That
bed.
was your breakfast.
That was my favorite thing just before bed. Warm milk and Maryland cookies. They were just
Exactly,
amazing.
exactly. And see, as children, parents didn't want us to drink tea, you know. So
Mm.
they drink tea, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So we used to always ask for tea. So what did they do? My mom used to put a little bit of tea in my milk to change the color.
That's so interesting. We had exactly the same. So my mom grew up having tea on a regular basis, and it was like she didn't want us to be kind of addicted to it in the same way, where if she didn't have her cup of tea, she would get like a horrible headache, migraine. So maybe on the odd occasion on a Sunday, it was a treat for us to have. She would say it was she would call it jadud, which is milk and tea, but it was
Yeah, we
basically
have
hot milk with a dash of color
we
in
used
it.
to call jadoo too.
Yeah, which is so weird because now when I have coffee, I can't have coffee as it's normally drank. It's literally milk with a hint of coffee because that's how I've that's what I'm used to. It's amazing. When I go to a coffee shop, people laugh and say, "Well, this is basic. You're basically asking for hot milk." I'm like, "Yeah."
Also wanted to tell you in those days we lived in a small town, so we didn't have grocery shops like this, you know, like what we have now. Like you, so many, you go to different and you can pick up any kind of bread or any kind of cookies and donuts, and we never had all these things. We had a once small shop where they used to sell few things, only one kind of bread, raisin bread. I still
Oh.
remember. And we were not supposed to eat much. So only when my dad used to travel, my mom used to give us that raisin bread and tea.
It was a
We used
treat.
to look forward to that.
Oh.
That's
We
so
never had
wonderful.
shops like where you can go and buy different, you know, nowadays
Yes.
so much is available,
Yeah,
right?
and we can get everything all year round, whereas I suppose then it was whatever was seasonal. The produce is what you had
Exactly,
available.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think there's definitely value in that as well. So I remember you mentioned there was another memory you had that you wanted to
Yes.
share.
So this is like we used to live, as I told you, in a town which was owned by one guy, and he owned the whole town, and he was a big businessman, so he had a vision of making so many factories. So to produce something, he had a lot of farms like sugarcane plantations, coffee plantations. So we used to live in a house which was, and behind our house were big sugarcane plantations and coffee plantations. So what happens when they used to clean up those sugar canes, they take the sugar, they have to clean the plantations to plant again. So they used to make it easy to burn. They burned the whole thing to make it easy to pick up all the garbage, after they picked up all the sugar canes. But in those plantations, there used to be sometimes big pythons, and they were
Wow.
so big, like 20 feet,
Oh,
huge. You know how pythons are.
they're
They're
huge.
huge and
Yeah.
big and heavy. So all these workers who would, naturally would kill the pythons by doing this. And they were so heavy, so they used to bring big ladders, long ladders, and they used to put the pythons on it, wrap it around, and they used to take them. And as little children, we used to run out of our house because everybody will want to see what a python is. And I still think, oh my God, we used to just run out. Oh, python, python,
You used to run towards the python. Now everyone runs away from the python.
exactly. But now I think back, wow, what a memory. Who as a children here, even children don't go out and play. Nowadays they are all the time on the phone and laptops and computers, And we as a children, the doors were always open. We used to run out and play, and these were the early childhood memories. I was telling my grandkids like this, and they never even thought like that.
It's so far fetched like compared to anything that, we can relate to. But I imagine, from what I've had listening to stories from our parents, is that, a lot of your childhood you kind of spend with all your neighbors. Like you get to know your neighbors very, very well, and the kids, especially when you're as a young children, you're
Not
constantly at each
only
other's
neighbors.
houses and
Yeah,
all of
not
this.
only neighbors. We knew the whole town.
Hmm.
So it's one big family.
Yeah, we knew everybody by name,
Hmm.
and we used to visit everybody. And I think the one thing is because we all lived in the same neighborhood, and all the kids went to the same school.
Yeah,
So that was another connection between all the parents too, right?
of
Hmm.
course. And I think as parents, then you'd be really reassured to be like, okay, you're not in the house, you've gone to so they wouldn't really be so worried about where you've gone, who you're
No,
playing
no.
with, because, everybody
Safety
was,
was there. Yeah,
yeah,
Safe.
that's
And
so
also
interesting.
everything's probably very close.
yeah,
So
yeah.
everything's in close proximity. You're not traveling far, going anywhere. And the sense of community you probably had growing up was so special and so strong, which is completely different to today. We often don't even know all the people that live on our road.
Yeah, and see, there was no TV at that time,
Right.
so we
Mm.
never had a TV when I was growing up. Only time I remember when I was 17-year-old, so my dad brought a small TV, like a size of a laptop, and all the neighbors' kids used to come and see. We used to get together and sit down on the floor and see or watch a program. There was
Amazing.
one person in our neighborhood who had a phone. So we used to go and call India or something. And it was, wow, so expensive at that time.
Yeah, and it must have been such a novelty to be able to pick up a receiver and actually hear someone else's voice at the end of it, or, you know,
Exactly.
or like just a screen and images that come up on there that are moving. You're just like, wow, this is so exciting. And I guess it really brings people together as well, because not everyone, like you said, had television, so it was an excuse for people to get together and have a screening of a movie. Was it black and white, the
Yes, black
screen?
and white,
Yeah.
black and white.
Wow.
And what
And
did before you had the TV? Sorry, Nehal, I know you want to jump in. Before you had the TV, how did people entertain themselves?
So entertaining was playing cards, movie. Like we had no theater,
Yes.
but we used to have a small, like community center
Hmm.
where there was a big hall.
Hmm.
And in those times they were big reels,
Oh
two
yeah.
reels, and we used to watch a movie like that. It was like one reel will rewind and it will go on the other reel. You know how that? Have you seen those big spools of I don't know
I've
if
not
you
seen them physically, but I can picture them or visualize them probably watching another movie, kind of.
yeah, there were
Yeah.
two big spools, like one big one and a small one.
Uh-huh.
And when the movie is on, the one spool will rewind the tape on the other spool and how that movie goes. And there was
Wow.
only one screen, and like not a screen, they would put a bed sheet or something, and we would see a movie like that.
It's almost a makeshift projector
Yeah,
putting the film. That's
projector.
amazing. Using a bed sheet. That's incredible. Creative, I have to say. Those generations are very creative. Sometimes the resources may be little, but very resourceful with everything that they had. Very creative, that generation.
Yeah, yeah. But I was thinking I'm 72-year-old now. So imagine the world has changed so much in this last couple of years. Like time when there was no television and phone, and and look at it now. How many things we have now?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't separate us from our mobile phones
No,
now. Like it's just an extension of our hand. Um,
eh, it's amazing. And now AI is coming in with all this thing.
so true, so true. It
Into
must
every
take,
industry as well, AI, and things are going to change even more and even more quickly, which is also frightening, but exciting, I suppose. We have to stay positive.
I know some of these gadgets are good to start with, but sometimes they're not good. Like kids nowadays are on phone all the time, right?
correct,
They
correct.
they don't know how to play, or they don't know how to talk to. Like honestly, I was at my friend's home 2 weeks ago, and they have teenager kids. Like there were 6, 7 teenager kids sitting on sofa in a living room. Nobody is talking to anybody, but it was communicating with the phone call by chatting. Can you imagine?
So they were chatting amongst themselves on a device,
Yeah,
but they were sitting next to each other.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's not unusual. You go out to a restaurant and you'll have like a family sitting around a table, but everybody's on their individual device. No one's actually talking to each other. And it's not uncommon anymore. And yeah, it is such a shame.
but
But I think
sometimes I think they won't know even how to talk to other people.
I think I think COVID probably didn't help with that when everybody was having to not like the development of children, especially when they would be at school, but they were stuck at home for so long that it really impacts your social skills and things like that. And
Yeah.
I think,
General confidence as
yeah,
well.
it'll be really, really interesting to see how, with the presence of technology from such a young age, with the younger generations, how that affects their communication skills, their social skills, their ability to have conversations with, different people that they are not familiar with. I'm sure they will learn, but it'll be maybe a different
I
sort
hope
of,
because they don't have sometimes eye contact.
oh,
It's
that's
so
interesting.
important
That's
to have
interesting.
eye contact when you
Absolutely.
talk to somebody, right?
Correct.
Absolutely. It's one of the earliest things you learn that when you're speaking to somebody, it's important to look into their eyes and speak to them. And it's the polite thing to do as well. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's very interesting. So when did you move from Uganda to India?
So, uh, as I told you, I did my schooling in Kakira, which is up to 8th grade. And after 8th grade, we had to go to another town, which is bigger than my town, called Jinja, where I did my high school for 4 years. And the fourth year was senior Cambridge. So, total of 12 years of schooling. And then we had to give the exam for the colleges, which is senior Cambridge. And after that, all Indian parents never send their kids to the local colleges. That's why they send us all to India to study. And I ended up in a town in Gujarat, Ahmedabad,
Mhm.
because my parents didn't want me to go to Bombay, where all my friends went. But anyway, I went to Ahmedabad and I studied there for my college. So I was in St. Xavier's College.
Okay.
Trip to India was also, as you said, different culture for me.
Was that your first time to
No,
India?
that was not my first time. As a child, I had gone 2, 3
Okay.
times, but this time I went alone by
Right.
myself,
Right.
and we went in a ship, which took 12 days.
Okay, tell us about that ship, what it was like. Because now we jump on planes, like we barely travel. Unless you go on a cruise, you're not going to get on a ship. But back then, air travel was not common. So you're all by yourself on
Yes,
this.
I went by a train from my town
Uh-huh.
to Mombasa, which was a port. And Mombasa, my uncle used to live, so he picked me up.
Hmm.
I went all by myself, thinking, oh my God, I was an 18-year-old and I went all by myself. And I went to India all by myself.
Wow.
And those ships were not like fancy cruises like we have now. It was a big ship, and the basement of the ship there were double beds all over the ship, and we used to like stay in one bed, down and up, whatever we get, we used to sleep like this, stay there. We had a common place canteen. We used to go and eat there, common bathrooms, and on the deck it was a common place to like do garba or whatever fun things.
Mhm.
And that's how the ship looked. It was not like a fancy ships like this.
Yeah. And was it did you know when you got to the other side? So I'm guessing it went to, did it go to Mumbai, the
Yes,
Bombay, the
Mombasa to Mumbai. Yeah.
right. So that when you reached Mumbai, um, how did you continue your journey from there?
So there, my maternal uncle, came to pick me up,
Hmm.
and he took me with him to his home, where they introduced me to another neighbor son, who took me to college in Ahmedabad for my interview. So it is another story. Like, I was going in the train, I'd never seen in my life beggars. India is a very poor
Mm.
country, and you see so many beggars. And I felt so sorry for all this, that I kept on giving them money, 1 rupee to everybody, everyone. And the guy who came with me is saying, "What are you doing? You will see so many, you will run out of the money." But I'd never seen. I felt so sorry for them.
Yeah.
And the other challenge for me was to go to St. Xavier's. Was considered to be very good college. To
Yes.
get into that college, you need a lot of good credentials to get in. So I had met almost all my credentials, but still, they wanted me to be good in one sport, and I used to be good in badminton, playing badminton. So they made me play against their college champion. And it was 120 degrees at that time. And I still remember, oh my God, in that heat, I had to play with their champion. And to win, I won. I don't know how, but I won and I got into
Wow.
college.
Wow, very determined lady.
So I got in that it's a big name to go to St. Xavier's
Do you know
College.
what we I've heard of it, and even we don't know India particularly well. So yeah, that's impressive. What did you know in your mind, if if you hadn't gotten in, what would have been the other option?
So I would have to go to another small college, but in
Okay.
Gujarat.
Okay.
But as a child, you want to be the best, to go to the best, and
Of course.
so
Hmm.
and never there. It was always competition everywhere to get into these big colleges,
And so
right?
went through this whole process by yourself. Your family is back in
Yeah.
Uganda
Now
at
I
this
was
point.
now thinking, oh my God, how did I do all that? Like, I was not even worried about anything, and I did all that by myself. And
Yeah, I was literally thinking, how did you do all that? Did you miss your family? Did you think about them? How would you even communicate with them?
there was no communication because no phone calls, right?
Mm.
Only thing we communicated with letters. And I never wrote much to my parents. My parents never wrote much. And I was telling my husband, like, the parents trusted their kids so much at that time. And always, friends or relatives were there if I had a problem to talk to them. But otherwise, not like today, like we check on our kids all day, every day. How
Where are you? Where are you going? Who are you going with?
Yeah, it
All this.
works both ways. We check on our parents a lot. Um,
So I do the same. And my kids were saying, Mom, do you have anything else to do that you keep on checking?
but when you were moving or going to India for your studies, what was the intention to study and then go back to Uganda? Or was it like, oh, I might study and then stay on in India?
I never thought like that at that time. And I think
Interesting.
we always relied on our parents' decision at that time.
Okay.
So whatever they told us, we did, right? So I studied there. And then I went, after 2 years, I wanted to go to medical school. But unfortunately, for 0.5%, I didn't get in medical school in Ahmedabad. So I never wanted to do just BSc, they called at that time, Bachelor of Science,
Hmm.
from Gujarat University, because Gujarat University doesn't have a big name. Like, resume, if I say I'm from Gujarat University, it doesn't mean good, for getting a job or something. So I said, okay, I'm going to Baroda, where I wanted to do BSc if I do from Baroda University, because it was recognized more.
Uh-huh.
But what happened when I was there, one of my friends said, why don't you do physical therapy? I said, what is physical therapy? I never knew what physical therapy was at that, I'm talking about 50 years ago. So she's saying, oh, it's just working with patients and this and that. To be honest with you, I never wanted to do BSc. So I said, okay, whatever, I'll do physical therapy.
I
So
love that decision. Spur of the moment. You said, yes, let's do it.
I applied for physical therapy. At that time, there were only 10 seats, and out of 300 applicants, they would take only
Students.
10 students. Yeah. I got in that, and my mom found out that I'm doing physical therapy, and she's saying, you're not doing physical therapy. It's like nursing. And, in those days, nursing was considered so low in Indian community that she's saying, if you do nursing, nobody will marry you. I said, oh. So she made me pull out my application and didn't let me go to physical therapy. So I went back again to do BSc in, majoring in chemistry. And I got, after 1 or 2 weeks, I got another letter from physical therapy. I said, we still have one opening. You want to come? You want to come? And I didn't tell anybody, and I went there, and I didn't tell my parents that I'm doing physical therapy.
So they thought you were doing the BSc in Ahmedabad,
Yeah.
and then you actually took up the offer in Baroda, which is
Yeah.
another city in Gujarat,
Mhm.
to do physical therapy.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you tell them? Or did you tell them, did you tell your parents after you finished the course that you did physical therapy?
After 1 year, maybe.
And how
That's so
and how did that
amazing.
conversation go? Or
They
was it by
didn't.
letter?
To be honest with you, now I think back, my parents still didn't know what was physical therapy.
Mm.
And I was actually upset at my dad one time. I said, I'm studying physical therapy and you don't even ask me what is it, or what, no interest in
Yeah.
what I'm doing. But I think that's how that time generation was. They only had two things in their mind, doctor or engineers. That's only two things
Mm.
all the
Yeah.
Indian parents knew about it.
Yeah. Yes. I guess it was, yeah, what they were exposed to, what they knew, and I
The
suppose, yeah.
stability, possibly, that the jobs gave, that's what they were looking for, the
Yeah.
stability.
And
So
see,
then, sorry, go on.
in those days, they didn't want girls to study too much. They never let the girls, especially girls, not to
Yes,
study.
actually, I want to ask you about that. Did you have to really kind of push your parents to say, I want to study, I want to go to India to study, I want to, continue with my further education, or were they very supportive? And people around your age, was it quite normal that, that they would have the same opportunities as you?
In that way, I was lucky because my father was teacher,
Okay.
and he always wanted us to study.
Hmm.
And my mom, her her dad didn't let her study, so she went to school only for like up to fourth standard. So she always tell me, girls have to study, you have to study. She used to tell me that. So
Yeah,
there was nothing from my parents that they didn't let me study because they always wanted me to study.
excellent.
But they wanted me to study like doctor or engineer or
Yeah.
like that, you know.
But
They,
did you have friends maybe who wanted to study but their parents weren't able to support them to study and they said, well, you can only study up to this level and then you have to stay at home or you have to get married, or did you come across people
no,
like,
luckily all my friends went to
okay,
college
oh,
and
that's
they
really
were
good.
allowed to.
And what do you think was the biggest quality that you were able to develop by going by yourself to India, doing a degree in a totally different country? What skill or what quality do you think that gave you? Or what did it tell you about yourself?
So there was no fear in me. I was never afraid of anything. And the other thing is, I it was a fun thing to go by. Like you got the independence to, like nobody's going to tell you what to do and not to do. So I think I was never afraid of. Honestly, I was never afraid in my life, which I'm afraid more now than before.
You need to think back to that Ushaben, and to connect with her again because she's there because you did so like I'm just hearing you and just getting on a I think they called it steamer then to get to India by yourself and then navigate all these educational decisions by yourself. I think that's incredible and I really commend you and I think that's super inspiring to hear. And so after you finished your studies, then what happened?
Okay, so that comes the marriage part, right?
Yes, so tell me about that. So was that something you wanted to do? Was it expected after you study that you'll have to settle down? Like, talk to us about that.
So when I was in my final year of physical therapy, you know, my mom never lived much in India. So after Idi Amin's thing happened in Uganda, they were kicked out from Uganda, so they went to London. When they were in London, we were still studying in India, me and my brother. So mom always relied on her sister, for older sister, that whatever she tells me, I have to do it. So all these family members kept on telling you, this is the guy, come and see, or, like how these arranged marriages are done. So I was forced to see guys. And in my back of my mind, I've always wanted to marry a doctor. That was my dream. And what happened is my husband now, his father was like a business friend with my aunt, my Masi, who
Hmm.
used to always guide me what to do because my parents were not there. So he came there one day and he saw me and he said, "Oh, my daughter is also in Baroda and in the same hostel as you are. So why don't you go and meet her and this and that?" And so I he told me her name and everything. So I went and introduced myself to my sister-in-law, who is my sister-in-law now, and so became friends. And my during the same time, my husband was also pushed by his relatives to marry somebody local from their town and everything. And he also never wanted to marry somebody local from his parents. And so same thing happened. I had seen him, I had met him before, and one day his sister comes to my room and just suddenly asked me, "Will you marry my brother?" I said, "What?"
Wow.
So,
Bombshell.
but I was so scared about my parents, and to be honest with you, I was pushed by my aunt with so many other guys, which I didn't want to marry them, but I wanted to marry a doctor, and because of different pressures, I thought, oh, he's a doctor. Maybe I can ask my parents if it's okay with them. So I told my sister in law, who is my sister in law now, that I have to ask my parents. I cannot make decisions on my own. If they approve, we can talk about it. So my roommate sent his picture to my parents and everything in England. And my parents talked to my aunt, and that's how we met and got married.
Wow.
Did you get married in India?
Yes, 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 I did. But after I finished my high school, after I finished my college, I went back to London because my parents were there, and they were also struggling at that time because they had left Uganda with no money. So I stayed with them, and I was working. I was working in a hospital because I was a physical therapist, but I didn't have a license, so I used to just work like a aide helper. Though I was a therapist, I was paid underneath less money to do the same job. My dad was working another job, government job. My brother was also working some other office work. My mom was working in a factory. And after our 8 to 5 job, we used to all go to another factory, all four of us, and go and work there till 10 o'clock at night. And we used to come back and make dinner and eat and go start the day again next day. That's how hard we worked because my parents were kicked out of Uganda and had no money.
These stories actually are the ones that really kind of make you appreciate and admire the strength of character that you'd have to have developed to literally set up your life from scratch in a new place, another continent, another culture, with nothing, literally nothing. And I think that's just, it blows my mind, honestly, it really does. And just to hear this, so how long did you do that for what you were saying, working multiple jobs, like all family
For,
members chipping in? Like,
for
how long
two
did that?
years, I stayed with my parents, helped
Uh-huh.
them out. We
Yep.
worked, as I told you, together.
Yes.
And at that time, it never thought that nowadays kids work and they take the money and keep to themselves, right? We used to work and give everything to my dad. We used to work, paychecks comes, we give all the money to our parents. We never even ask what you're going to do, or it's my money or your money. Never, 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 never.
You just felt a sense of duty that,
Mm.
Yeah,
that
it
I
was
want
like
to
we
support
stayed,
my
lived
family.
together.
Yeah.
So
You're
whatever.
all in it together, you're helping each other. And I think that is ultimate resilience, working so hard, doing it again and again with no break, coming home after your long shift and making dinner. It's not easy. And like Tejal says, it really makes us appreciate and almost makes our life seem so easy because we've had most things done for us and given to us. And it's just incredible what you have achieved and what you have done. It's
So
commendable.
you weren't married at this point then,
No, I was not married.
but you had the intention to marry uh
Yes,
so
yes.
then okay, so then how did that happen, or what stage did you actually get
So
married?
my parents, at that time say, why don't you come over to London and we can think and talk about all that. And then I had to, yeah, they talked to me and they were okay with it. So things were arranged for me in India. By my aunt,
Hmm.
my parents came to India and did the marriage ceremony and everything. Then I stayed with my husband in his small town, which is Godra, which is a small town in Panchmal. And he was still doing residency at that time. So I stayed about, I think, 2.5 years in India.
Okay.
And I worked there as a private therapist, physical therapist, because same thing again. He had no income coming in. I was the only breadwinner at that time, so I was
Yeah.
working, and he never asked for money from his parents. So it was just whatever I earned, we survived. And then he came to USA.
When was this? What year was this?
It was 1976.
Right.
And why USA?
Because at that time it was big thing for all the doctors from India to come to USA, because I think it's the more open doors for them to more, more opportunities. So at that time it's a craze for all the doctors to come to US, and the visa was easily available. They were given to all the doctors. So he came to USA, but on the way we stopped at London because my parents were in London. So we stayed with them. But during that time, I was 3 months pregnant with my older daughter. So my husband is saying, you stay here till I go there and figure out, because he has no place to go, nothing. So how can I go when I was pregnant? So at that time, we told my parents that I was pregnant, and they said, okay, you stay here. And I used to work in London, as I told you too. So I was getting all the government help from London. At that time, they used to give 7 days hospital, stay, and
Hmm.
the nurses come to your home and good care
Hmm.
of the baby and everything. But anyway, my idea was not to stay in London to deliver the baby. But my husband came to US and he couldn't find residency in time. Then he found out that if I come there, first of all, he didn't have a place to stay. He was not making any money. He has no insurance. So how he's going to pay for all the hospital bills and everything? So he's saying, you stay there and deliver the baby and figure out, we'll figure out as soon as I get residency when you can come back. So I stayed in London. I delivered the baby at my parents' home. Until she became 6 months old, I couldn't travel back to USA because my husband didn't have a job and he didn't have a place. So he saw my daughter after 6 months when she was born. So when I
Wow.
came to USA, she was 6 months old.
Wow. So mo most of your pregnancy, you were with your fa family, your parents, and your husband was in America. And then when you had the baby, and and, oh, that's amazing. It must have been very difficult.
Very difficult. And when I came here, then he had no money. He was doing residency, so I had to also start studying for my board exam because I cannot work without license.
Hmm.
So I started studying and I got my license and I found a job. At that time my daughter was like 1 year, more than 1 year. So I found a babysitter I used to live in a 27th floor, high-rise building.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was on the 27th floor and I found a job, found a babysitter in the same building. I went to work, and the same day I fell and I broke my arm.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had a fracture shaft humerus, and my husband was on call.
Oh gosh.
And I said, oh my God. So, they had to put a big cast. I came home, so I couldn't work. I had a little baby toddler, like a 1.5, almost 1.5 year old.
Yeah.
It was so hard for me to put diaper because my husband was 3 days. He's gone to the residency. He was business. He never come home.
Yeah.
So I had long hair, and he chopped my hair till here because I couldn't manage. And then we didn't have money, so we had to buy cloth diapers. Because those other diapers at that time were very expensive. So to put a cloth diaper with those pins, it was so hard on my with one arm.
With one, yeah.
And my husband used to fill up all the bottles, baby bottles, clean them, fill up the bottle, and he would be gone for 3 days. And I had no family, nobody to help me with this.
That is insane. Like I mean, just the thought of that, like you're slightly incapacitated with one hand out of action, husband's working, toddler on your own, no backup, no support, no family at all to fall back on.
No money.
And no like
No money,
money.
yes.
And so with all of this uncertainty, like how did what kind of kept you going, or where did you find your inner strength from?
So I think, as I told you, I never felt afraid of anything at that time, Tejal. I don't
Yeah,
know. I was not afraid of anything. And, you know, I thought this is it. We have to deal with it, right?
you just got on with it. Just got on
Yeah,
with
this is
it.
that can-do attitude, positive attitude that whatever life throws at you, you
Yeah,
just get
exactly.
on with it.
You'll find a
Exactly.
way. You'll find a way. And you probably had you probably don't realize it now, but just hearing your story, you have immense self-belief within, yourself and your husband as well, that you're going to figure out a way. You're going to make this work. It's going to be okay. And so
Yeah.
you never was sort of overwhelmed by, oh my God, this is like
No, I
so
never felt
overwhelming.
like that. Oh my God. I never felt, but it was very hard. Now I think back, it was
Yeah,
so hard
But when
because
you
she was,
had, sorry, no,
because she
continue.
was very naughty girl too. She was not a quiet.
But when you had those times, Ushaban, where things got really, really hard, how did you cope in those darkest moments? What helped you?
So, I used to cook with one hand. And whenever my husband was home, whenever he came back after resting, he did all the chores. He cleaned the diapers because they were, as I do cloth diapers, I
yes,
used to clean and soak them, and he used to clean it, fill up the bottles, buy the groceries. And I, I, I don't know. We just thought this is it. This is life. We never had seen the luxurious life that we thought we were missing it.
right.
So it's just amazing to hear your journey and everything you've been through. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing your special life experiences and your story with us. I think it's safe to say Tejal, I, and all our listeners are inspired by your grit and your determination and also your positive attitude. So I think you should be really, really proud of yourself, for what you've achieved and what you've done.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I was also very happy because I've never shared my all this story to anybody so far.
No, honestly, we could carry on, probably fill another hour, but I think maybe we'll have another one of these in the future at some
Yeah,
point.
sure.
But it's such a pleasure and a privilege for us to hear these stories. It makes us feel really, really proud and inspired. And there's so much that we can learn just by hearing these stories, the struggles, the challenges, the overcoming of the challenges. And often at times, we openly I can share that we get stressed about certain things in life, but when we actually hear these stories, we forget how easy comparatively we've had it, and how we've never had to experience any of those things that you've just mentioned. So we mustn't forget that, but we also mustn't forget the people before us who have allowed us to enjoy the fruits of that labor, is the future generation. So we're super grateful
Yeah.
to all of
So,
this, all of you.
yeah, we
Um,
struggled for everything. So now also, now we have money also. So we cannot spend it easily like that because for luxurious things, because we thought, oh, it's such a hard earned money. We
yeah,
So better give it to somebody who wants it or will make their life easier. Or so we give, whoever cannot study, we can help them study because I know how hard it is
yeah.
when.
Mm,
That's And
mm.
just before we wrap up, I have one last question. So if you could give one piece of advice to future generations based on your experiences, what would that be?
One slogan for me is there is no substitute for hard work. Keep working hard. There is no free dinners. You always have to work hard and be consistent. Don't give up. and there is always sun after the cloud, right? When the
Yeah,
clouds are gone,
Absolutely.
you will always see a sun.
that's
Don't give
beautiful.
up.
That's beautiful. That's such a wonderful message for us and for all our listeners. And yeah, you've been an absolute gem. We're super proud of you. You're a very special lady, and hopefully well, I'll get to see you again next year,
And
and
hopefully
maybe
I'll get to meet you
and
next
my
year, and hopefully our parents
Thank
as
you,
well.
Nehal and Tejal. Both of you are such wonderful girls. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.